Hi folks, I've got an unboxing for you today and it's something a bit different. It's a realistic resin cat, well actually kitten, and it's by Vivid Arts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unbox this and have a good look at it. I'm going to show you another resin animal that I have by Vivid Arts. And I'm going to talk about the project that I've got this resin kitten for. So without further ado, I'll get this out the box and have a look at it. I wasn't sure if it was going to come in a separate box or if it was just going to be in a packaging box with packaging around it, but it's actually come in a separate box. So I've got some polystyrene. It certainly comes well wrapped. So take this bubble wrap off now. And we've got more cardboard and then our resin cat inside that. Oh, more bubble wrap. My goodness, this is certainly well wrapped. And here's our cat, well, kitten. So here's the tag of it, Vivid Arts Real Life Range. And on the back it says suitable for indoor or outdoor use. And here is our resin kitten, quite big and quite heavy. That's what it looks like underneath. And the reason I've got this is because I want to use it to take a mould of the ears and the face for making a plush sleeping cat, an interactive plush sleeping cat. So really nice detailing on the face. Should be able to make a lovely mould out of that.
So you're going to be using latex on this one rather than silicone?
Yeah, so the next model I make, I'm going to use latex instead of silicone so that I can flock it.
It's an interesting technique, isn't it? Lifting sculpting detail from a model to use in your own sort of animatronic type model.
Yes, and I've never actually used a resin model like this before. I've only used a 3D print, but obviously there's far more detail in the resin. And you can see each individual sort of bit of fur, can't you?
I've noticed the eyes are closed on this one as well.
Yeah, because the other models I've been working with, I've got animatronic eyes open and shut, but with this one I wanted to make the eyes just out of latex and then flock them.
Right, so it's going to be a model with just sounds in it, or maybe some movement as well? You're on about tail movement perhaps?
Yes, I want us to make a moving tail mechanism. So I'll be looking to try and replicate this tail in terms of the size and shape, and then have a moving mechanism in the base.
So that's we're thinking that's just going to be a servo, just to give it some sort of movement.
Yeah. The paws are nice on this cat as well. It'd be nice to try and replicate the top of the paw like that. These are the bottom of the paw pads, which I wouldn't use because the paw pad that I made, I think, is better than that.
Yeah, it's interesting that, because you made the paw pad from polyclay to start off with, and you just use your own design working into a picture, I think, didn't you? And they've turned out much better than those pads, I would say.
So that is the silicone paw pad that I made, and that's what it looks like when you sew it into fur. This particular silicone paw pad, we didn't degas the silicone first.
That's interesting. You
And
can see all the bubbles in there. Yeah.
all the holes in it. So that's the difference that degassing makes. Quite dramatic, that, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It looks like a block of air that's been broken into, doesn't it?
Also makes it weaker as well as not
That's
looking
right,
as nice. So I'll just show the back of the cat now. That's the back of the head. There's the back of the body. This only cost £13, which for the size of the cat, I think is really good.
Yeah, it's funny how cheap you can make these resin models.
So it's about 13.5 inches. Pretty big, really, isn't it? I think this was cheaper than they normally are because they've not painted it in different colours.
Right, yeah. It's just
just like a plain
the burr casting, isn't it?
Well, there's a bit of colouring in 2 different shades of sort of slate grey around the paws, but there's not much really, not compared with something like this. So this is another model that I bought by Vivid Arts, and that one is painted, quite detailed painting, and they've even put some sort of varnish on the eyes to make them all glossy. I can't remember how much this one cost, but for the size of it, it was more expensive. But that's because they've done all this painting on it, isn't it? They're both hollow, got this hole in the bottom. And hole in the bottom of the cat. Though the cat's still surprisingly heavy, considering that it's hollow.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to include in this cat project is a breathing mechanism.
Oh, like they have in these present pets.
Well, I was actually... Perfect Pets.
Perfect Pets, yeah.
I was actually going to use the mechanism out of this beagle. The reason being that this is quite dirty. It would take quite a bit of cleaning up. And the paws, the fur on the paws is quite worn. The battery box was also corroded. So I was thinking of taking the collar off this and putting it on the cat that I've got, because I've got a black and white cat that's missing the collar.
Oh, yeah.
So I can use the collar on it. And I was going to take the cover off this, and I think it'll be really interesting seeing what one of these looks like inside.
It will be, yeah. It's we think it's a mechanical mechanism, don't we?
Yeah. So we can see what the mechanism looks like inside. And yes, I want to use that mechanism in my plush interactive cat model. That's going to be based on this in terms of what I wanted to try and make it look like.
Yeah.
So breathing mechanism, moving tail, and probably the same purr as we're using on the model we're working on now.
Oh, the one that's about 3 hours long, and it's from a real cat.
Real cat.
Recording off YouTube.
Yeah,
isn't it?
so I'll have a breathing mechanism, I'll have a real cat sound, a real cat purr, and the tail will move slightly. But just want the tail to move a little bit because it's supposed to be asleep. So
yeah, and the eyes, of course, the eyes will be closed because it's asleep. So there's no need to concentrate any modelling ability on trying to make realistic eyes.
Yes. So that about wraps it up for this video, folks. We'll be back with this Perfect Pets in the near future, and I think we're both fascinated to see what that mechanism looks like inside of this.
Yes.
And I'll also have an update on my current project that we're working on. But that's it for this video. Thanks for watching as always, and see you next time.